Alright. It's water day. I'm going to show y'all what that looks like logistically. And it's a bit of a thing, I can't lie. And it means leaving the tent a little bit more open than I like to. Anyway, there's nothing in there. Not really. I'm going to take it quite slow. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to go about it yet. But I don't think that I'm going to be loading anything into the car today. And I've only ever done this once, I think, where I get the water back here without using the car at all. Because the bike is like charged. Alright. First things first, get the heavy stuff. I am trying to preserve my shoulders this year, so I might put that shirt on. Even if it means sweating a little bit. Alright, wasn't too bad. Normally my hands get, well, at least that dirty. Anyway, it's pretty good. This lock weighs like nearly 3 kilos, so definitely noticed that getting the bike back up this little hill here. It's only little by elevation standards. In terms of that angle, it's bad. Anyway, alright. Could I be bringing everything at once that I can carry? Probably. But I've started walking now. It's just the trailer that I probably could have still brought. But that's alright. As I've gotten better at doing this, I've realized I don't have to do so many little journeys. But anyway, sometimes you forget. My catchphrases are anyway, and it's just how it goes, I guess, as you'll notice. And I'm sure that's how it goes for many people living like this. Even though there are a few posting content like this, there are some, just because society decided everyone should live in a little box crammed up together, doesn't mean that if that doesn't suit me, that I should be defined by not conforming to something that I think is mad. Anyway. I might need to make some adjustments to that quickly so that I can get back down. As you all saw, it's not such a simple descent. But like, as far as my vague steps here go, it's just the grass that makes it really slippery if it's super dry or wet or whatever, any conditions. This grass is just slippery slide. Alright, so this used to be harder than descending. This used to be something that I really struggled with, and then your body adapts, starts to activate muscles that might have been used at some point in your life, if you're lucky. Wow, that was very lucky actually. That was sketchy. Sketchy as ever. Yeah, the brake's well and truly gone now. And I think Chiang Mai have ghosted me when fundamental things that anyone else would consider necessary to go any further. I just go, I'm not letting the physical define everything. I've never done a water day feeling so chill about it. That's just what happens when you, like, obviously there are things going on in the background of my life and it's funny, the paradoxical effects of situations. So I'm feeling really chill. There's just, I've got nothing to lose. Over 8-9 years, I had over a dozen jobs. I experienced, everything that anyone experiences who's had that many jobs. They know why that it's been like that. Anyway, COVID hit, and like many people, I was made redundant and then pressured to get vaccinated to get the work that I wanted. And that was not happening, and then by the grace of something, I got the job that I wanted without being vaxxed. Made more money than I've ever made. Made more money than most people ever make in 5 months. And I was more depressed than I've ever been. My back was broken, my heart was broken, and I felt myself starting to operate in autopilot more than I ever had. As a coping mechanism. And that's when it hit me. Like, ever since I've been 16, I've been writing a lot. And I've been writing to myself that I need to go and sit on a rock. Little did I know, a big old rusty van would be my rock. And it was a good sit, to say the least. Getting that van under all the circumstances of the world and the way that it started to communicate with me. And then just within a few short months of having the van and being a nomad, experiencing living in the bush with strangers, just out of nowhere. from all around the world, it was impossible for me to not see something that I could never forget seeing. And seeing this something, seeing the oneness, made me realize the implications of conformity on something greater than what I was identifying with. And here we are. Depression's gone, and I'm dealing with more than ever. So I don't need a scientist to tell me then. Obviously, what I need is to live like this. I don't need a scientist, I don't need a sociologist, I don't need a psychiatrist. I'm fixing myself, and I'm going to do it my way, and it's extremely alienating. And there's been no other way of doing it. This story that I'm telling, it's not a new story. It's about one of the oldest stories. Little humans trying to create a civilization within a world that they feel discomfort towards, probably because of where they are, and they refuse to explore, and so instead they compartmentalize, and as a result forget what reality actually is, or maybe they never even knew in the first place, and so they start creating their own reality. And this one's really ugly. If it wasn't so fucking ugly, there might have been more chance of me making it work. Certainly, if I'd knocked a girl up in high school or something like that, and so I didn't have the opportunity to think about how ridiculous the societal hierarchy was. You know, I'd be just like you. We are just the product of our environment. My environment in my life, I've always been conflicted with. My whole life. Until I found this bush. That's the truth. It's kind of hard to say out loud, but it's the truth. And that was the realization that I made subconsciously some years ago, and it took me years again to do what I had to do. I knew all I needed to do was set a camp up, connect with nature, and just have the van there with the fridge running and all the power and everything, security, sitting somewhere. I knew that's what I needed to do. And then the van started dying, and the universe gave me so many opportunities to settle the van somewhere, at least for a while. And I just started ignoring what seemed like too much to deal with. And that would have been a really fun story. Squatting with the van somewhere, that would have been fucking funny. And I could see it in my mind. And that's the kind of thing that you have to just make happen when you can see it in your mind. Anyway, as powerful as that story and journey would have been, I think this has more potential to make people think, instead of, because there's a lot of judgment. You know, we have so many labels in our society, and as soon as you put yourself into a category for whatever reason, to a lot of people, that's what you are. They'll define you by one thing. So if I was a squatter, there'd have been a lot of people that didn't find it so funny. But this, I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere. No one's in a position to complain. I am so deep in nature that things happen out here that are otherwise obstructed by all the structure that resides in the cities and towns. You can't experience nature anywhere on the outskirts. You've got to dig in a little bit, and you've got to be able to justify it for yourself, because they're going to try and tell you you're not allowed to connect with your reality. I mean, I don't think I'm going to experience that problem, because if you were to have a walk around my camp, you wouldn't even know there was someone living there, except for the tent. If you already knew the space. I'm sure that there are people who have stumbled upon that area, possibly, that think I'm the one who trampled it, which is not true. I try and find places that were already flattened, and it's hard. It's hard. I've only found, my possible next spot that I have in my mind looks like a wallaby hideout when it rains or something like that. It's very difficult to get into, but once you're in there, there's just no chance of anything seeing you from any angle. And it's closer. We just passed it, actually. And being that 5 minutes or whatever closer would make a big difference. Anyway, I like where I am. I haven't had any real issues. I mean, things have happened. Woke up to the sounds of kids. And, well, before the kids, I heard someone at the trail that I cover up, uncovering it. He stood on a big stick. That's what woke me up. And then I listened to this man and his family enter my camp and just hang around for like 15 minutes. Pretty funny. I didn't get out of the tent or anything like that. But obviously that's no threat. And from what they would have seen, they wouldn't have been concerned if they're the ones that trampled the space, which I doubt. You don't have to have very good tracking skills to see the tracks out here. And then there've been a couple of old men, and I don't think that either of them necessarily saw the tents. So anyways, considering it's been 2 months, and there was an incident out the front of my camp with someone who I sensed one night was sitting 100 meters away or so, and I think he had a camera, and he would have watched me swim, and then he came back the next day and I sensed him again and started doing exercises, and he eventually walked past, and like people do, and this is the kind of thing that is starting to make me think that all these dickheads talking about how they're the only thing that exists and everything that they're experiencing in terms of interactions with others is a construct of their minds. Like, I'm starting to believe that, as deluded as it is, because of the way people will stare at me and expect me to acknowledge their existence when I'm in the middle of doing something. Like, yeah, if we're walking by the beach or whatever, walking down a path and you haven't seen anyone for a while, a smile and a head nod or a how you going. Sure, I'm on the beach. You've been watching me for an hour and then you decide to walk past me and I'm in the middle of doing exercises and you're staring at me. Wake up. Anyway, that was early on, and I just, as a result of it being early on, I wasn't going to let that get in my way.